I love indie games. I mean, I just made a whole video about a few from PAX East I absolutely love. Go watch that video. Indie games are usually passion projects. You can actually see the faces behind the games and fall in love with the whole team if you want. Indies also usually give you more bang for your buck, being priced anywhere from $5 to $25 or $30. But just like any other product on the market, they are subject to a fair and unbiased review, and Have a Nice Death is no exception. Hello world and all who inhabit it, it is I, the Great Saiyan, and when I think of indie games, I think of the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is king of the indies. Yes, the other platform holders have them, but they don't really champion them. Well, Xbox does, PlayStation just ignores them, but they're getting better. Xbox has ID at Xbox, Nintendo has Indie World Showcase, and PlayStation has, As I dive deeper and deeper into the indie scene, I find games that I like, and one of my most anticipated games of 2023 was Have a Nice Death. Have a Nice Death is a 2D action roguelike. It's very cute, brutally difficult, and extremely fun to play with its snappy controls. Think if Cuphead and Dead Cells had a baby. I'm a sucker for games with precision timing. I love platforms and have put hours and hours into games like Neon White. When I heard Have a Nice Death was a roguelike, I immediately thought of Hades, another super fun popular indie roguelike I had a ton of fun with, as well as Hollow Knight, which I played several hours of, but never actually finished. I was determined to play and review Have a Nice Death for this channel because I love indies, but I ran into a couple issues that really halted this process and made me rethink this review. I don't want to dump on an indie, but I also can't allow viewers to go uninformed. IGN put out a review, but it was mostly played on PC, so those issues I mentioned earlier weren't present when I was checking out what other industry leaders thought of this game. This is the Nintendo Switch review of Have a Nice Death. Before talking about what caused my headaches, let's talk about what I actually liked about this game, starting with, of course, the combat. There are 3 ways to engage in combat. Let's start with your scythe. You initially start with a basic scythe. It's snappy and does decent damage. As you progress by dying over and over and over again, you unlock different scythes with different focuses, like the Twinsy, which is a double-sided scythe that focuses on power over speed. I love this one because if you can learn an enemy's pattern fast enough, then you can more accurately time those huge, heavy, powerful hits. There's also the sickles, which I don't like that much. They're very quick, but the damage just isn't there. I'm too impatient to just wait around for an opening and do quick damage. I like to berate my opponent with attacks, even if I get hit once or twice in the process. Not the best strategy, but it's my strategy. I really like when games give me the option to tailor to my playstyle. This game doesn't have that really annoying thing where you take damage from just touching the boss, so I like to be extra aggressive. My favorite scythe that lets me do that is the disc scythe. It gives me quick damage so I can take advantage of openings, great range so I can forward or backdash as needed to avoid damage, and the combos just look really cool. Your scythe is your best friend. It keeps you alive since there's usually no risk in using it. Aside from that are the cloaks, which can be thought of as sub-weapons. I love using these for big damage on well-timed hits. These usually have cooldowns, so using them when your enemies are stunned for massive damage is an S tier strat. These weapons are extremely varied, from giant hammers to kunais to a rocket launcher. One of my favorites is the javelin. Great range and huge damage for cheeky pokes. There's also magic you can use, and it gets a little crazy. You can summon a swarm of crows, some meteors, or a coffee, which is what you use to heal yourself. Magic uses mana, and the amount used is varied just like the cooldowns vary on the cloaks, so you really can create your own combos and loadouts. You get them at random, but after a few runs, you begin to learn which spells do what and what you need to do well in a run. I like the disc scythe with a long range javelin or a build-up weapon with heavy damage like the Slaymore, and some other type of big damage magic with a secondary effect like frozen, poison, burn, or bleed. Oh yeah, secondary effects. By selecting specific floors, you can get rewarded with the option to choose a curse to buff you. As you progress, you start to get penalties along with these buffs. You may get plus 10 max HP, but all magic now costs 25% more mana. It adds to the difficulty, and it gets pretty fun as RNG heavy as it is. Let's talk about level design. I'm a fan. Levels are world-based, so each one has a theme, and that theme is based off a real-world situation that's killing us. For instance, World 1 is work and is based off an office space. World 2 allows you to choose between fatty fast food or toxic pollution. And World 3 lets you choose between substance addiction and like physical pain. In addition to the theme levels, the enemies and bosses are also themed. The category of enemies are the same, like flying, grunt, tank, but their powers and abilities are different and the designs fit the world. World 1's flying enemy is a book since you're in the office, but World 2's toxic pollution's flying enemies are trash bags and goopy winged poop things that shoot toxic globs. Pretty cool. Every level you finish gives you the option of choosing the next floor you go to on the elevator. You can choose to fight bosses for a chance to get heals or curses, or you can go to a floor that will give you specifically what you're looking for depending on what's available. If I know I need a better sub-weapon, I'll go to the storage floor, but if I need health, then I'll go to Anima. I really like these options. They give you a lot of floors to choose from throughout the world, while the floor before the final boss is usually predetermined based on the world you're in. Some levels have traps, and some have fun mini games and challenges. There's also random things you can find, like a lost shoe that belongs to an NPC that furthers a side story sub-story or a rare boss that will unlock a discount or just full weapon in your hub if you defeat them enough times. Spending gold unlocks new weapons and spells, and completing certain challenges unlocks major discounts on those. You could just buy them outright, but you'd be grinding away collecting ingots, which are pretty rare when you could just dial in on the challenges. Have a Nice Death has a lot going on for it, and is more than just fight, kill, die, repeat. With sub-stories, loadout and combo customizations, really fun level design, and cute comedic aspects sprinkled in, this will be an easy recommend at $25 on the Nintendo eShop. But it's not that easy. Have a Nice Death has a huge problem, namely its performance. I'm not gonna dump on this game. I think the game itself is really fun, and I've been playing it non-stop since launch. But I have to talk about this SKU, the Nintendo Switch version, and my horrible experiences with it. This game launched a few days before PAX East, and it's been the only game I've been playing on the plane, my hotel room, and when I came home. I've been playing for over a week, often suspending the game with the Nintendo Switch's locking functionality. After about 2 days of doing this constantly, I began to see some performance degradation. I would get heavy frame skips, stutters, and sometimes full-on freezes. I ran to Twitter to see if anyone else was having this problem, and they all noted the stutters when entering the floors initially, but nothing after that, so I didn't know if it was just me or not. Side note, the stutters when entering the floors are annoying too, and I wouldn't have given them a pass for that either. It's very annoying in a game as fast-paced as this to have to wait as long as you do every time you get off the elevator on a new floor. So I thought it was my Switch, which I don't reset often, so I closed the game and restarted my Switch, and that seemed to fix it. I was back to the normal stutters I get when entering the floor, but I noticed something on the title screen. My playtime said 56 hours of just 3 days of play. I'm a gamer, but not that much of a gamer. It seems like the game never suspended or stopped counting the in-game clock whenever I locked my Switch to carry it with me. I decided to recreate the stutters, and over the next few days, I played for an hour or two and locked my Switch, never closing the game, something normal games would never have a problem with. I played the game in docked mode only just to see if it was a handheld issue or prevalent with a docked mode as well. And then this happened. I was appreciative that the game at least started me back to the same floor I was on before the crash with everything I had in that particular run. Also, my in-game counter was at 125 hours, and that just wasn't true. Have a Nice Death is an incredibly fun game, but the performance gets in the way. Yes, you can get around it by closing the game every so often, but after experiencing performance issues in the middle of combat and huge boss moments in an incredibly challenging game, I just can't recommend this version in this state. If those things don't bother you and you have no other version of this game to play, then you do have the option to close the game after every few hours. But I can't recommend the average person to spend money on this version of this game, even if I do find it incredibly fun. We beat him. We beat him. Ah, yes. If you want to check out a game I do recommend, be sure to check out my review of Bayonetta Origins and why it is actually worth the full $60. Also, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.